Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday to all of you who are watching, who are logging on, who are watching the replay. Maybe it's not Friday where you are. If you're coming on, I'd love to say hi. Hi, Vedi. So good to see you. Just say hello if you're logging on this Friday afternoon. And if you're watching the replay, say hello. Let me know where you're logging in from. So I know who's here and I can connect with you. So I'm Yana, for those of you who don't know me and those that are new to the group. And I'm a marriage coach. And I started this group for women to have a safe place to come to and get support in your marriage. I know marriage is a topic that a lot of us don't really talk to a lot of people about, unless we're in a really safe space. And I know even in a Facebook group, sometimes it's not very comfortable to talk about your relationship, your marriage. So, I post daily content and things that you can take away, hopefully, from this group. So if there's anything that you are going through that you want more support, and I want you to know that there's a place that you can come to, and also you can always reach out to me. And if you don't feel comfortable posting something publicly in the group, you can always reach out to me and I'll post for you anonymously. Or if you have any questions, or if there's like a topic that you want me to cover, I go live every Friday at 3 Pacific Standard. So if there's anything that you want me to talk about specifically, please reach out and let me know, because I am here to serve you. I'm here to help. So I want to make sure that whatever I'm putting out there is helpful. And I see more people logging in, so just say hello, where you're from, so I know who I'm talking to. So I'm actually, leading a group of women right now inside of our coaching program. It's kind of like my flagship program that's 10 weeks long. And we are talking about, or one of the things we're talking about a lot of stuff. And one of the things that we're talking about is responsibility, and actually how to feel empowered in your relationship no matter what the circumstances are. Most of us in our society, just what we learn from everywhere, from friends, from family, is that responsibility is, is something that's right or wrong, and it's whose fault it is. So when I say the word responsibility in my program and in this video, what I mean is it's not something that you are, but it's something that you do. So the question, or the topic of this, live, is how to feel empowered in your relationship. And throughout the years, I know we as women, we have this kind of ongoing story. And sometimes this story is very unconscious. It's been passed on to us from other women, from, just generations and generations of women being kind of suppressed, that we're victims. And there's this adversarial relationship that a lot of us have with, the other sex, with men. And because of this, years and years and years of suppression that has happened with men and women, we think now, especially now in this time, we think that the only way that we're able to, feel empowered in our relationship is if we go against, the men, and we have, and I mean, I'm not saying all of the women, but we create these power struggles. And like I said, we've learned this way of being with the other sex. So, we either are a victim and we hold this kind of like victim mentality, like he's doing something to me. And, if you have this, it's totally normal. But I want you to really look as I'm sharing about this. Where are you? Are you, in this victim mentality where you in your relationship have the experience like, he's doing stuff to you, and whatever the circumstances that are happening in your life, they're happening to you, and everything that's not right is happening to you? Or are you in, this, there's another way that women are kind of speaking up and or reacting, right, to all of these years of suppression and stuff that hasn't been working. And the other way is like this women's movement that's happening, which is beautiful. And a lot of times what happens when we have this, women's empowerment movement, we emasculate and suppress men while we're doing it. So I want you to really just ask yourself first, are you doing that? Are you coming from like a victim place? Or are you, standing up for yourself, but in the meanwhile, emasculating the other sex and emasculating the man that you're with? And wherever you are, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's really, really important to just be conscious of where you are and what your mindset is. So in the comments, just type it in. I want you to do the work as I'm doing this live. That's when it really makes a difference, is when you're doing the work, when you're actually thinking about it and kind of reflecting on, where you're at. That's when you actually start to see changes. So do you feel like, a lot of times you're a victim, or do you feel like you're a, this like, I'm a powerful woman and nobody's going to tell me what to do mentality? So, so once you're able to see where you're at and acknowledge it and take responsibility, and this is where what I started, speaking about what I mean by taking responsibility, you're able to actually start seeing where where you can make the shifts. Okay, so but I'm going to talk a little bit about the responsibility factor, and and I want you to consider, and I'm sorry I'm jumping all over the place, I have like so many ideas that are popping in my mind, but I want you to really consider that the two places that I just talked about, the victim mentality or this like women's empowerment movement of, where we emasculate and blame and criticize the men and think that, we're going to just kind of bulldoze through whatever problems by being this like powerful masculine woman. What I want you to consider is those two ways of being are not always the most empowering. They're actually very disempowering for us. And both ways, they are coming from a place in order for us to prove to ourselves that we're worthy or that we're loved. And when we're coming from that place, there is no power. There is no true expression of what you want in your life and who you really are. So I'm going to go back to the whole responsibility idea. And like I just said before, responsibility isn't something that you are, but it's something that you do. It's an action that you take. And most people, they think that responsibility is about, who's at fault or who's to blame. And we attach morality to it. We make it right or wrong. We think that, if we take responsibility for something, then the others involved, they get let off the hook. A lot of times, when I share with women being responsible for how you are and how you show up in your marriage, we let our husbands off the hook. And that's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about really taking responsibility for your relationship, for your life, for your marriage, where you actually have the power to choose. Okay, most don't see it as this access to freedom. So, him taking responsibility is not important for you to feel good and to feel empowered. Him being a certain way or not being a certain way, it's not a prerequisite for you to have the life that you want. Like, your circumstances, they don't need to change for you to feel empowered in your life and in your marriage. So you have an opportunity every day to actually have, to take full responsibility for creating the context for your life, whatever your circumstances are, whatever, however your husband is, if he's a jerk or if he's whatever, like, you have a choice of the context that you're going to bring into your circumstances, into how he is. And what I mean by context, it's the view that you have over that circumstance. So we all have a perspective, a specific view that we see the circumstance through. So when he's being a jerk, or he's being disrespectful, or whatever, what is your context? Are you being a victim, or are you being, this like powerful, not powerful, but are you being this like a F you can't do that, and just like emasculating and blaming and criticizing? And not to say that it's okay for him to be that way, but I want you to start really looking at who are you being in the matter of the circumstances, in the matter of how he's being. Because here's the thing. We can't change our circumstances a lot of times. We can't control how our husbands show up. Okay? We can't. We think we can a lot of times, but we can't. All we can control is our context and how we view it. So when I talk about being responsible for your life and for your marriage, what I'm talking about is you being responsible for the view that you have of it. Okay? So, you've made the choices that you've made up until this point. You're the one who's living your life. Like, nobody else is living your life. You're the one who chose to be with your husband. You're the one who keeps choosing to be with him if something is not working. You're the one who, is living the life that you're living. So when you're able to really see that and take full ownership of it, you're able to see clearly, and you're able to make new choices, and you're able to ask yourself what works, what doesn't work. So I'm just going to check in with those that are watching. First of all, say hello if you're logging on. Let me know where you're watching from. And then, are you guys getting what I'm saying? Is this landing over there? Do you have any questions for me? Because I want to make sure that, you're really getting this concept of responsibility. And if stuff is coming up for you, that's okay too. A lot of times, when I talk about this, a lot of us feel uncomfortable because it doesn't feel a lot of times like what I was saying. Sometimes it might feel counterintuitive to say I'm responsible for my marriage because you also want him to be responsible. But, I'm going to keep saying this over and over. What I'm talking about is you being responsible for actually, not the circumstances, but this view that you have, that you have an opportunity to be responsible for everything that you've manifested and created in your life. And when we live our life this way, being 100%, this is like truly where you can feel empowered in your life, no matter what the circumstances are. When we're blaming others, when we're being right about our lives not working out, or when we're in this power struggle with our husbands or even with our kids, we're literally giving our power away and we're victims of our life. Every time that you have a thought that he's not doing this, or he's at fault, or he's wrong, or life shouldn't be like this, consider that you are giving your power away and you are going to feel disempowered in your life. And, you know, it's going to show up. It's going to, if you've been having these complaints, if you've been looking, you know, where he maybe hasn't been showing up, or where, you know, he's been a jerk or whatever, and if you've been focusing on this kind of story or complaint for a long time, it's going to constantly be there. So what I want you to start doing, if you want to feel some, you know, power in your life, I want you to start noticing when those thoughts come up. I really want you to start paying attention. You know, a lot of times most of the times, we don't even pay attention. These thoughts that we have, they're like on autopilot. They're on repeat, and they're just constantly, you know, going and going and going. And we have about like 90,000 thoughts per day. And 80%, I think, yeah, 80% of those thoughts are the same thoughts as the day before. So what I'm inviting you to do is just to start paying attention to what you tell yourself. Are you telling yourself, you know, thoughts that are like inside of that victim mentality? Or are you telling yourself, like, are you coming from a place of you're fed up and you're not going to have it anymore? And if you are, start paying attention to those thoughts and be responsible for those thoughts. And the more you take responsibility for your life and for your relationship, the more space you allow for your partner to do the same. Because, you know, on an energetic level, he's going to feel it, and he's going to start to, you know, not get so defensive if he gets defensive, or withdraw or check out. And he's going to start to feel more free also for him to, you know, be responsible as well. And I know, like I said, it might feel counterintuitive, but I promise you this works. So the question I like to ask myself when, you know, I'm in these thoughts of blame and criticism, and, you know, and it happens, like I said, really fast, but when I keep noticing them, and the question I ask myself is, how am I responsible? Well, actually, I ask myself two questions. How am I responsible for the situation? So if he's not helping me around the house, and I ask myself, how am I responsible for this? And who am I being in the situation? So, for example, if my husband is, you know, hanging out on the couch watching TV while I'm cleaning the house, the thought that triggers right away, like it's such a trigger for me, I right away think like, he's not helping me. I have to do it all on my own. This sucks. Like, why do I have to do everything on my own? So that's a trigger for me. So I ask myself, how am I responsible for this? Well, the first thing is, I never set anything up where I asked for his help. Like, I'd rather be right about this complaint and these thoughts in my head, so I don't have to take any responsibility. So that's the first thing, is like, I haven't been in communication with him about what I need and how I need him to help. Usually what happens is, when he's laying on the couch and I'm cleaning, I get pissed off at him, and how I'm being, you know, that question that I said before, is I'm being pissed off, frustrated, resentful, annoyed. I mean, there's all these things. So when I get responsible for having what I want in my relationship, which is, I want partnership, and I want, you know, us to come together and to help each other, and I want the house to be clean. And when I'm responsible for that, I'm actually able to set something up where I communicate to him about what I need. Or actually, so what I want you to think about is, before because I jumped too far ahead, but what I want you to think about is, what would it look like if you were responsible for having what you want in your relationship. So if I want the house to be cleaned and if I want him to help, what would it look like if I was actually responsible for that? And what comes up for me in my head is like, I need to set something up. I need to have a conversation with him about what I need, because it's not like he won't help. He'll happily help. And I need to be okay with, what his feedback is. Like, so for example, if I come to him and I have a conversation with him about, helping around the house, I need to be okay with if he says, you know what, I can help you, I don't know, Saturdays between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m., whatever. Like, I need to be okay with it, because if I'm responsible for having that. Or I need to set it up what I am okay with and what I'm not okay with. So, like, what boundaries do I need to set so I can have that happen? Because a lot of times, I think we as women, we expect for men to just know and to be like us, but they're not. So if I'm 100% responsible for what I want in a relationship, I can't expect him to also want those things, or to also, be responsible for those things, if I'm not in communication with him, and if I don't set up something where he can be responsible. Is this making sense? I mean, just, type it in the comments if this is making sense. So what is it that you guys, I want to actually know, what is it for you that you're, in this complaint about, that you can take full responsibility for, and kind of end the cycle of blame and criticism? And how can you be responsible for it? Like, what can you set up to be responsible for having that in your life and in your marriage? Is it maybe more romance? Is it having more intimacy? Is it communication? Communication is a huge one. A lot of us complain that we don't communicate with our husbands, or that they don't communicate with us. So, I want you to start asking yourself, how am I responsible for this, for the communication that we have? Am I, getting, like, am I not speaking up about what I need, and then I get annoyed about how he reacts to it? Or am I not setting boundaries, or am I not creating the time for, communication to happen? Am I just complaining? It's just, asking yourself these questions is really what it takes to kind of peel off the layers and to really have breakthroughs in those areas that aren't working for you, where you feel disempowered. So really start asking yourself these questions, and, even more so, start writing it down. When you ask yourself these questions, write them down so you can actually journal about it, and actually, get to a deeper level, and actually start seeing what's there, what's underneath all of this stuff. So another thing, is really powerful, is for you to start identifying those triggers where you want to assign the blame and the criticism, and, make it his fault. And, I shared with you, my trigger is like, if my husband is laying on the couch while I'm cleaning, that's a trigger for me. My brain is going to automatically go into these thoughts of like, he's not helping, I'm all on my own, and so on. Also, money spending is a trigger for me, or when he takes the kids for In-N-Out, or like junk food, that's a trigger for me. It automatically activates my complaint, and, I'm like disempowered, because I don't feel like I can talk to him. I, get small. I am afraid that he's going to be a jerk. So when I'm able to identify those triggers, and in a time when I'm not triggered, when I'm not in those complaints, I ask myself, okay, how am I responsible for having what I want? So, I shared with you about the cleaning, but like, even, him taking them for junk food, like, how can I be responsible for that? So what would work for me? Who am I being when it happens? So, I identified it for myself is like, it really doesn't work for me for the kids to have junk food more than, I don't know, 2 times a week. So I identify it, and how can I be responsible for having that in my life is I can have a conversation with him and I can ask him, hey, I really want to make sure that the kids eat healthy. So, can we make an agreement that, the kids only eat junk food or whatever twice a week? And like we can do it on Fridays. We do this Fun Day Friday thing, and we can do it on Sunday or, whatever days. But for me, like that's what works. And, when I talk to him in that way, and when I tell him, hey, I just want the kids to be healthy, most of the time he's going to be a yes. I mean, my husband is a yes, but like, think about it. What is it for you that you really want to have in your relationship, but you're not being responsible for having it? And you're just complaining silently about, and you're not speaking up, you're not sharing it. You're just rather, be a victim or be like an FU to him. So start asking yourself these questions. So that is what it takes to be really responsible, or responsibility is what it takes to actually feel empowered in your relationship, no matter what. And when you're able to identify that, and then you're able to actually share it with him from a place of, just what you want and need for your marriage and for your life to be fulfilled, and also for you guys, not just for you, but like for your household to work, for your marriage to work, for you guys to really be partners. I promise you, like, it is the game changer. It's what makes all the difference. I mean, in my marriage, that's what, makes all the difference. Because then there's no power struggle to be had. There's no like push and pull, and it's incredible. So yeah, that is it. I before you log off, I actually created a free 6-step mini course on improving your communication in your marriage. So if you are interested in receiving that, just private message me. I'll send you the link to register. I posted about it in the group, but if you missed that post, just private message me. I'll send you the link. It's awesome. It like talks a lot about this context that I was sharing with you about, and how to shift that context. And I go so much more in more detail. There's assignments there that you do that really give you those results. Because, we can read about stuff, we can watch Facebook Lives, we can do seminars, but unless you actually do the work for yourself and look, where in your life there are missings, and where in your life, like really start looking at your life as an observer and being honest with yourself, and change and start to shift that mindset, you're not going to get the results that you want. So I really am inviting you to, take this course, to do the little assignments. It's free, and yeah, and get the results that you want in your marriage and your communication. So yeah, just private message me. Make sure that you put it in your calendar to, if you want more content like this. I go live every Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So put it in your calendar. If you want, more, like if you want more topics that interest you, please message me. Let me know what you're interested in, so I can share about it in the next, Facebook Live, or in the next lives that I do. And thank you so much for watching. Make sure you say hello in the comments, and I'll see you next Friday. Have a beautiful 4th of July weekend.